Mechanics are notorious for not maintaining their personal daily drivers, but the significant other's car will always be well maintained, because you don't want a broken car and an angry wife. Molvo The Volvo may be a little old, 0 to S60 turbo, but it gets all of its service done at one garage, and has for the last 60,000 miles all on time with the owner's manual. On the last oil change, the cartridge filter cap was tightened too much, fusing the cap to the block with the force of 1000 gods. The service writer tried to sell me a new cap and repair has to air chisel the plastic cap off. I laughed and asked to talk to the GM, general manager, or owner. I told the GM that this shop has done all my services for the last 60k miles. If this was improperly installed, the fault is on them. Of course, the manager still tried to say it wasn't their fault and refused to fix the problem. This got me mad. I said it is obvious that you are not going to make this right, and walked over to the wall with the business license, Bureau of Auto Repair cert, etc. I started writing all the business information down on the back of the estimate sheet I was given by the service writer, so I can contact the owner. While doing this, I told GM to get my car out of the bay and give me my keys. The tech had drained the oil, but refilled it to proper level before letting the vehicle leave the shop. The manager then walks up with my keys and a bill for 15 minutes of shop time and 5 quarts of oil. I looked at him and said, "Really? You want to be like this?" And the GM replied, "Yeah, I didn't charge the 1 hour minimum, so feel lucky." What? A-hole. So Molvo the Volvo, and I go to the dealership. I explained what happened at my regular garage and tell the Volvo mechanic to fix it proper, about $400. Now that Molvo is fixed, I get to work. I did some digging and found the owner of the shop's phone number. I explained to the owner that I would have no choice but to bring a lawsuit against the company to reclaim damages and legal fees because the GM was not willing to fix a problem that was caused by a technician at the shop. After legal fees and costs, this $400 fix could cost the shop thousands in court. The owner cooled me down and was on my side. I meet him for lunch the next day and walk him through what happened. He apologized for the problem and we went to the garage after lunch. The moment we walked in, the GM walks up and greets the owner. "Hey boss." Howard gets cut off by the owner saying, "I'm not your boss anymore. Go in the office. Wait, and I will tell you why." The owner writes me a check for the dealership bill, refunds me the repair bill, and hands me a ticket book full of free oil changes, a transmission flush, tire rotations, etc. He says, "I have been in this business in this town for 40 years. I take great pride in my company's reputation and hope you keep doing business with us." I reply, "You got my business for life because you made things right." On my way out, I stop and arrange a service appointment for my other car and can hear the owner ripping into the GM. GM walks out of the office and as he passes me mumbles something I couldn't hear. The next time I brought a car in, the service writer told me that the GM had to move away from this town because nobody would hire him. Local business owners here talk a lot, and the shop owners let everyone know that GM was dishonest to customers and could possibly damage their reputation with his "not my fault" attitude. Some further info. I chopped down the story a bit because I didn't want to write a novel. Let me fill some stuff in. I was an automotive tech for almost 10 years, but recently changed to a less physically demanding job. I know my way around a car and keep my old beater alive with duct tape and hope. Molvo the Volvo is maintained by the garage, wife's orders. It ensures that maintenance is done on time and keeps me from sleeping on the couch. I also know my shop liabilities and how the process works to legally recover money from a bad repair job, since I have helped customers with cars that other mechanics have messed up. Motivation for GM to not eat the repair was commission pay for services. If the shop messes up, it comes out of the bonus pay. That, and he is a D-bag. I admit I was very unprofessional with the owner on the phone. Should have calmed down more before calling. I threatened legal action because if the GM told me to piss off, I expected the same from the owner. Owner told me GM was a problem employee but wouldn't go into it, so he already had 2 strikes. The owner met me for lunch because if I caused a scene, it wouldn't be at his shop. That, and around lunch half the cops in the area are in or near the place. Owner is a smart guy, lol. I have apologized to him a few times already for how I acted. I was mad, but that is no excuse. If anyone in this story is a hero, it's the shop owner. I consider myself a decent person and an above average employee. I worked for a medical office directly under a doctor for almost 2 years and was consistently facing issues with him from the start. He was aloof, unhelpful, didn't want to train or help establish protocol. Just wanted me to run everything and take the fall for anything that went wrong. He was married with children, but flirted and slept with numerous patients and staff members. This isn't unheard of in this field, so I often just kept my nose down and tried to do my best at my job regardless of his after-hour activities. Problems started to arise more and more though as he hired people based on looks and his attraction to them vs their qualifications to do the job. I tolerated a lot of bullshit, but the last straw was when he wanted me to do some somewhat illegal activities financially, and when I refused the games began. I could sense that he was unhappy with my unwillingness to do whatever he wanted me to illegally, but didn't think he was upset enough to justify punishing me or trying to get rid of me in any way. Then literally all hell broke loose after a minor procedure I had him do for me. We were in good standing, or so I thought, and I thought nothing of having him do it at the time. What's cruel is that he botched my procedure and caused permanent damage. That wasn't even the worst part. The way he dealt with it was, instead of apologizing and offering to make it right, to which I'm pretty understanding and would have accepted, he denied anything was even wrong or had happened under his care. He went into total cover-ass mode and methodically started to try to get rid of me without firing me, as it would definitely be wrongful termination, and the tension was becoming unbearable more and more each day. I was hoping he would make it right and we could move on, but instead every day was full of scrutiny of my choices and work, and even a write-up for a minor offense that I had no prior warning about. I could see the writing on the wall and realized he was going to wash his hands of me as quickly as possible to preserve his precious reputation, which I could definitely disrupt now with his mistake with me. I noticed shortly after, while on a planned vacation, he was advertising for my job. I decided to quit then and there instead of be fired. I was trying to fix the botch prior to quitting and hoping he would help financially. Nope, not gonna happen. Told him I was quitting, and since we were under very abnormal circumstances, that I would not be offering my typical 2-week notice. He was pissed. He was late with my last paycheck, in which he sent a snide letter with telling me he was done with me and my care with him. I noticed that the check was short for 2 sick days I had taken after the botch. We are talking around $275, but it was still enough money that I felt rightly owed. I had a ton of sick pay left and didn't even give it a second thought until now, and thought maybe he just forgot to add it. Nope. He responded curtly saying I hadn't accumulated enough time to pay for the days. I asked to see proof of that because I knew I had enough time. He changed the accumulation date to another month and said tough luck, wasn't going to pay. I told him blatantly that this was wrong and that I would have to report it to the labor board if he couldn't show me proof. He just bullied me back and insisted it is what he says it is, and again tough luck. He even said to quit contacting him about it or he would report me for harassment to law enforcement. So I went to the labor board. I brought in my contract and asked them about numerous questionable offenses. They couldn't believe how many skewed things were actually going on that I had accepted because I didn't know or he had convinced me otherwise. They had me file for all of the offenses and said they would send us both a letter letting us know the mediation date. Got the letter in the mail from the labor board and almost fell over dead right then either. What was originally a $275 offense with the other minor claims and now penalties added from the labor board, the total was now $6,500. I laughed hysterically and couldn't believe it at first. I thought about him receiving the same letter that day and just reveled at the thought admittedly. Keep in mind he didn't know at this point that I had actually went to the labor board as I promised. He didn't think I would do it. He thought he had won up to this point. Mediation day rolls around and he sits across from me with the mediator there and is steaming under the pressure now. We both share our sides, which he lied about numerous things of course, and then we talk separately with the mediator. She explains to me that my case may be hard to prove, being somewhat he said/she said. She encourages me to kind of take whatever he offers. Before leaving the room with her, I bring up one more thing to her that I was unsure of and didn't ask about before. It involved him not paying overtime, and she lit up like a damn Christmas tree. Bingo. With that type of offense and me being able to show verifiable proof, he would have to pay the penalties starting at $6,000 and whatever the judge added after that. She went and told him of this new claim, and he fumed out of the building saying I shouldn't be able to add anything at this point. Not the case at all, and that he needed to speak with his lawyer. I get a new claim in the mail with the added offense weeks later. The total is now $9,600. I die again laughing and just basking in the thought of him getting this new claim. There was no contact from him this whole time, but now suddenly there is an email sent to me in the sweetest tone I've ever heard him speak. He pleaded with me that he never meant to withhold anything from me and that he would like to settle all this peacefully outside of the court. Of course he would, I thought to myself. I forwarded the email to our mediator and told her that I did not want to respond and asked her to deal with him and let him know I wanted to continue the no contact he requested earlier. Weeks go by, we are creeping closer to a court date. Suddenly the offer rolls in $4,000 and he will settle. I was set on $5,000 because of all the hassle I had to go through up to this point. I told the mediator to tell him nope, $6,000. Silence for another week or two, then the offer of $5,000 comes. That was my number, so I waited a couple days just to shake him up a bit more, and the mediator let him know I'd accept it. I received the payoff within a week, and then I got to wash my hands of him in the end. He thought he could cheat me and bully me, as I'm sure he has gotten away with it in the past. I gave him a swift lesson that could have just cost him $275 to do the right thing, but now I'm going on a vacation to Hawaii and will sip a mate on his dime for trying to take back what I had rightfully earned and more. So my husband said I should post this here. I've kept it secret for over a decade, and he felt it might do me good to air my past a bit after watching r// on YouTube. So here it goes. In my early 20s, I met a guy, let's call him Gilderoy, through online dating that I had previously known in high school. He was kinda cute, appeared to be a sweet and kind romantic, and took me to a nice restaurant. After a couple of dates, we started getting serious, and that's when the 6 months of relationship hell began. Gilderoy was a narcissistic a-hole, and I was sadly too blind and desperate to see it. From the start he was a compulsive liar, lying about everything under the sun, and claiming accomplishments that weren't his own. Over 6 months he would constantly accuse me of cheating with platonic friends even though I wasn't. I was a tomboy. He also wouldn't allow me to be friends with any of my guy friends, pushed me away from my friends and family by constantly manipulating everything they said to make me not trust them, and demanded complete obedience from me, even if I didn't want to comply. This led to Gilderoy making me buy him everything from groceries and cigarettes to CDs and over-the-counter meds for him to get high off of, racking up a $4,000 bill on my credit card, as well as driving him anywhere he needed to go. He didn't have a car, including to court dates, drug deals, being picked up from jail, and once to a psychological evaluation. He was diagnosed with paranoid personality disorder, but refused to take meds or seek treatment because he thought I was constantly cheating on him. He also convinced me the only way to win back his trust was to allow him access to my phone history and texts, my email accounts, and all social media accounts, so he could always keep tabs on my honesty, though he still constantly accused me of lying. Our love life was far worse. I made Gilderoy use condoms, but one night he slipped it off and ejaculated inside of me. I was paranoid of STDs and was freaking out, but he convinced me he was clean and everything was fine, and told me I should just stop being crazy and paranoid. The next time we went to have sex, I asked for him to use a condom, but he said he didn't need to cause we didn't last time. I told him it would still make me feel comfortable, to which he beat me while saying it would be pointless since he came in me before, and proceeded to have his way with me. From then on, he would demand unprotected sex, even if I wasn't comfortable with it, and would even let his roommate or roommates watch when I didn't want them to. I even found him in his roommate's bed with his roommate one morning when I came by to take him to a court date and the door was open. It all ended after 6 months when I started to stand up for myself and demand some equality. I confronted Gilderoy one night and told him that if he could have access to my social media, emails, and text messages, I should be allowed access to his. He thought about it for a while and slowly agreed, telling me he would give me the passwords in the morning. 3 days later he finally gave me the passwords and I looked through his emails, most of which had months of emails deleted, but I did find some emails proving he was cheating on me with several different women within the first couple months of our relationship. He couldn't remember when we started dating. And one of the women had even vandalized my car. I used this as grounds to end our relationship permanently and hightailed it out of there. The aftermath didn't get any better. I found out about another woman that he was cheating on me with at the time of the breakup, who was a decade older than him with children. Let's call her Regina. I took the time to write Regina a warning email and listed signs and red flags to look out for, to which she blowed me off saying they were deeply in love. He would never do that and that I was just jealous. I also found out that he had an STD, and after talking to his friends, I found out that he knew about it 3 years prior to me and never got treatment for it. I got tested and took the antibiotic till I was clean. The revenge. Around a week or so after the breakup, Gilderoy started bragging on Facebook that he had accepted a job offer that paid in the nicer part of 5 digits, especially for someone in their early 20s. I remembered I still had his login info to his email, so I logged into his email from a random computer and simply wrote his new boss an email explaining he respectfully found a better position elsewhere and that he would have to decline the position. His new boss replied giving thanks for the notice and I promptly deleted the emails. Gilderoy showed up for work on his first day to being told he was replaced. After that he proceeded to try and embezzle several thousands of dollars out of my parents through threats of lawsuits, to which he failed, cause I was over 18 at the time and not the legal responsibility of my parents. Plus their lawyers found his long list of criminal history that would cause any judge to throw out his case. Since then, Gilderoy has stalked me for over a decade. He will occasionally try to get in touch through texts, emails, or phone calls. Once he emailed me a couple days after I got married to tell me he got married to Regina that day. Oddly enough, Regina had gotten in touch with me after Gilderoy sent the email to ask more about the signs I had warned her about, cause she found out Gilderoy was doing drugs around her kid and was beating her too. I told her to take an STD test and leave him. I also found out that while Gilderoy dated a friend of mine in high school, he tried to choke her to death after she caught him cheating, and she savagely bit a hole out of his arm till he let go. The last time I saw Gilderoy, I ran into him the week before my dog died of cancer. The encounter freaked me out so bad due to the distraught emotional state I was already in, so I confided in my friends about it. Some of them did some digging. He is currently miserable living with his grandmother. His wife divorced him. He has no job, has no car, and has no friends that trust him. He's pretty much alone. If you enjoyed the stories, slap the like and subscribe button for more of them, and don't forget to support the original writers with an upvote. Links are in the description. Peace out, and catch you tomorrow.